Well, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. It is my pleasure and honor to be introducing this wonderful event. My name is Joel Rosa. I am the interim library director here for our fabulous historic library. I've only been here a few months, but I'm proud to be bringing programs such like as this one, the Herbert Richardson, Dr. Herbert Richardson life story. Someone who's been impactful in our community, someone that's brought so much change and passion and influence to our young ones. So before I introduce Dr. Richardson, I want to formally say also, as a born and raised resident here in town, I was also Dr. Richardson's student in 5th grade. So, I am honored to be, to host this event. To say a little bit about Dr. Joyce Richardson is, she taught for 33 years, taught at the number 1 school, Flynn School, McGinnis School, Show School, number 5 school.
All the schools. All the
schools. She retired from Herbert Richardson School, also the assistant band director, and was the student teacher director, supervisor,
a student teacher
for Rutgers University. So very well credited, and so it is, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Joyce Richardson. So help me with giving her.
About Dr. Herbert N. Richardson. He was born October the 9th, 1919 in Perth, Amboy. Passed away June 21st, 2004 in Perth, Amboy. Now, before there was Run DMC, there was Herbert Richardson. Origins in the West Indies. First generation, born in the United States. Dr. Herbert N. Richardson was born on October the 9th, 1919. The first generation of immigrants from the West Indies born in the USA. His mother was from the island of St. Kitts, and his father was from the island of Anguilla, British West Indies. His mother, Albina, arrived on May the 6th, 1918 from St. Kitts on the SS Parima at 25 years of age. His father, Joseph, arrived from the valley in Anguilla. I checked the Ellis Island Record of Entries, and there were multiple listings for Joseph Richardson from the valley. And I think that C.D.'s father, also named Joseph.
We're on the same boat.
We're on the same boat. Okay, the first recording for Joseph Richardson was in 1912 on the ship Guyana. And the second was also on the ship Guyana in 1917. Then Herbie Richardson graduated 8th grade in 1933 from the Perth Amboy Grammar School. This is the earliest photo I have found, courtesy of Maureen Burke from Florida. He graduated in 1937 from Perth Amboy High School. Herb was voted boy with the biggest future and most entertaining. He was very proud of the pompadour in this photo. and said that he can pull that hair out of that pompadour down past his nose. Here's Fanny Franklin and Herbert Richardson. They met at Virginia State College for Negroes, Petersburg, Virginia, back in the 1940s. Dad and Mom met on the campus of Virginia State College for Negroes in the 1940s. Colleges were, of course, segregated during this time. Mom is from Ruthville, Charles City County, Virginia. Here is a concert of the Men's Glee Club of Virginia State. On the left, article. On the right, dated September 1941. Courts and court procedure, antiquated, and should be revised. Hyla Roman says, the square that is outlined states, Herbert Richardson, a senior in the Virginia State College for Negroes, sang 3 solos, accompanied by Maxwell McMichael. Now, Maxwell McMichael was the chorus director at the Perth Amboy High School back at that time, and he encouraged Ed to try out for All-State. This part of the program was arranged by Edward Herbert, director of guidance in the local schools. Maxwell McMichael directed the Perth Amboy High School chorus. Herb was accepted to All-State Chorus, but could not participate in the chorus's overnight stay for the Teachers' Convention in Atlantic City due to racism and segregation in the hotels. Only white students were allowed to stay in the hotels of Atlantic City for All-State Chorus. On the left, Virginia State College for Negroes 57th Annual Commencement Program, Monday, June the 1st, 1942. Bachelor of Science in Public School Music, Herbert Nathaniel Richardson, Perth Amboy, New Jersey. Now in that small square we have to graduate. Herbert Richardson of Perth Amboy will graduate June 1st from Virginia State College with a Bachelor of Arts degree. Richardson, who majored in music, was outstanding while attending Perth Amboy High School as soloist with a high school chorus and took part with the All-State Chorus at various musical events. He is the first Negro graduate of Perth Amboy High to graduate from college. Left to right, program from President's Day, Virginia State College at Daniel Hall, January 21st, 1938. The music department of Jefferson High School present the Virginia State College a cappella choir and recital, Friday evening, April 8th, 1938, in the middle. And on the right, high school holds a program from the Perth Amboy Evening News. This is September 1941. 2 former students of Perth Amboy High School entertained a junior-senior assembly Thursday morning. Herbert Richardson, tenor, and a member of the All-State Chorus while in high school, and Leo Sacarni, who specializes in the oboe, both gave some musical selections for the upperclassmen. Okay, now before we get to the next section, World War II. That he was enlisted in the Army. Now on the left is a book that he had written, memoir, A View from the Other Side, Reflections of a Black Soldier During World War II, copyright 1997. On the right, author, Staff Sergeant Herbert Richardson. So the caption reads on the left, not long after this period as a Corporal T5, I earned my buck sergeant stripes. Now, in the middle and on the right is a table of contents, including sections of reflections and experiences in the United States, North Africa, Corsica, and Germany. Left to right, singing with a band in Shells A-Poppin', Langley Field, Virginia. In the middle, John Samuels and Herbert, an excellent signal corpsman and guitarist. John and his guitar were inseparable during his stint in the Army. And on the right, Men of the Signal Corps, words and music by Herbert and Richardson. Now, brothers separated by color. I wanted to read this. Okay, I often think about Juan and Roy and wonder how much, if any, were their lives as civilians affected by the common dilemma that they shared while in the Army. Both men were close to 6 feet tall and similar in weight and physique. They were skilled signal corpsmen and possessed excellent leadership skills. Juan, who was from Puerto Rico and came from New York City, had a smooth medium chocolate complexion and short wavy hair. Roy was from the Bayou country in Louisiana and had an olive complexion. His black hair was straight, with an errant strand of hair that sometimes fell carelessly on his forehead, a la Napoleon. According to rumor, both men had brothers that had been assigned to the white units because of their fair complexion. It was thought that when they were drafted, the Army automatically classified them as white, and the younger men quietly assumed their new status. No one was the wiser, and I assumed that both men completed their Army services as white men. Although Juan was amiable and a major contributor to the success of our battalion, a few soldiers that were close to him accused him of feeling that he was misplaced in a black company. This I could not personally substantiate because I was not that close to him. To me, with my limited contact with him, he seemed to be a regular fellow and perfectly at home. On the other hand, I knew Roy well. He was like a pea in a pod with me and the other men in our little social group. We spent just about our entire overseas off-duty time together. His ability to speak French, which he learned at home, was very helpful to Big Harold and me when the three of us went out together in North Africa and later in Corsica. By the time we got to Corsica, however, we were able to fend for ourselves. It was during one of those off-duty passes that I met Roy's brother and was able to verify that he was in a white unit. It happened while we were on pass in Tunis during the Christmas season. While we were enjoying the hospitality of the local Red Cross, we bumped into Roy's brother, whose unit was temporarily stationed in the area. As I recall, it was a joyous reunion. I was introduced to him, and shortly afterwards, the brothers went off together to savor their sudden reunion. I heard that not long afterwards, his brother outfit moved. To the best of my knowledge, their paths never crossed again while we were overseas. I have no way of knowing if these brothers ever came back to claim their black identity, or if, like thousands of blacks who could pass for white, they quietly melted into the white social world, which offered them a new life without the shackles of racism to impede their aspirations. In today's Army, the brothers would have been able to represent their country without the specter of race rearing its ugly head to separate them. In 1942, it was a different story. Although racism still exists today, substantial progress has been made. We now have one integrated Army instead of two, one black and one white. Okay, the Army of the U.S. was segregated, but President Harry S. Truman put an end to that segregation in the U.S. Armed Forces. On the left, Frank West, Herb Richardson, unidentified band member in Bastia, Corsica. On the right, unidentified soldier on the left, and Herb Richardson was on the right. Herb is strolling down the walk in Fürstenfeldbruck, Germany. And there he is with his photographs. He told me that the cigarette was only a prop. It's just a prop, and this is just a glamour shot. Oh, Staff Sergeant Herb Richardson in Germany on the left, and in the middle with Paul Robeson in Fürstenfeldbruck, Germany. Paul Robeson in concert with his accompanist Lawrence Brown in Fürstenfeldbruck, Germany. Rutgers grad, 1919. Okay, on the left, it's very dark here, but that's on the steps of Hitler's lair. In the middle, he's with Suli Syed, Herb Richardson, Fred Richardson, and Joe Rogers. You know Fred Richardson? Yeah. On the right, with Staff Sergeant John Nadal. They grew up together in Perth, Amboy, and were briefly reunited in Fürstenfeldbruck, Germany at the end of the war.
Right. I never knew that.
Yeah.
What's the name of the other fellow you said?
John Nadal.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And Herb Richardson sings for an assembly, alumnus of 1937 and veteran plans career in music and teaching. Dad came back home after World War II and did an assembly. I don't know which school he was in, but there's the newspaper article. And on the right, I don't know if that's in Perth, Amboy. They did live in Brooklyn for a while where my older sister was born. But I don't know where this photo was taken. Nice suit. Mm-hmm. Nice car. Mm-hmm.
Nice fellow.
Yeah, thank you. And here is from Governor Thomas H. Kane, a certificate of appreciation. It is hereby proclaimed that the citizens of the state of New Jersey declare their deep gratitude and appreciation to veteran Herbert N. Richardson in recognition of proud and unselfish military service in defense of the United States of America. Thomas H. Kane, Governor of the state of New Jersey. And now here he is at the Board of Ed, hired as Perth Amboy's first African-American teacher in 1949. He was called the Jackie Robinson of Perth Amboy Public Schools since Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in baseball also in 1949.
Did you know what his salary was? Did you know what his salary was?
Yeah, I want to get to that. I'm going to get to that. I'm going to. Yeah. And here is a newspaper article. School board names first Negro teacher. And here's some school pictures. School board names first Negro teacher. For the first time in the history of the local Perth Amboy public school system, the Board of Education last night appointed a Negro as a school teacher. On the recommendation of Dr. William C. McGinnis, Superintendent of Schools, the board appointed Herbert N. Richardson of the city of a teacher of music in Samuel E. Scholl's School at the annual salary of $2,300. Richardson holds a bachelor's degree from Virginia State College and a master's degree from Columbia University. Is an Army veteran, having served in North Africa and Europe. While attending Columbia, he worked with the USO entertaining servicemen in hospitals. He visited 112 hospitals throughout the nation, singing in a choral group. While in the Army, he was director of the Men's Glee Club. The vacancy in the Scholl School stemmed from the resignation of Miss Mary Lou Spangler, a music teacher in the high school. John Seaman, teacher of music in the Scholl School, will be transferred to the high school, and Richardson will fill Seaman's job at the elementary school.
That was June 16, 19 what?
June 1949. newspaper clippings. On the left, tenor soloist, and on the right, the Sloan House News, May the 28th, 1956. Mr. Herbert Richardson is a music instructor in the school system of Perth, Amboy, New Jersey. A true tenor with a beautiful voice, which he used with intelligence and feeling as he sang No Man is an Island and several other numbers. He added greatly to the spirit of worship during the breakfast hour. In addition to his schoolwork, Mr. Richardson is the director of the Vocalizers, 34-voice choir noted for its charitable and community work. During his college days at Virginia State College, he directed the college YMCA, YWCA chorus. Here we have a testimonial dinner program in honor of Herbert N. Richardson at the Bel Air Inn, Thursday, June the 28th, 1956. Perth Amboy teacher will give concert. Herbert N. Richardson to sing at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Here's the boys and girls choruses back in the 1960s at Shoal School. Boys upper grade chorus. I was told that this was from 1962. Girls upper grade chorus, also 1962. Here's a mixed chorus and some basketball. One of Dad's friends, John Maskowitz. He also directed the School of Nursing chorus. Here's another shot of the boys' chorus. Here is a testimonial dinner program for Dr. William McGinnis. And on the right, I could not make out what that handwriting was. It says, I have heard from several sources that the Christmas chorus performed well at Kiwanis. Yeah, this was accomplished under unusual, difficult circumstances. Therefore, I am just, particularly pleased. May I, Celeste and just you have objections that each child who participated with the chorus be given 2 merits at the same time, and express to the children my sincerest appreciation. Yours truly, Gilbert Augustine, another one of Dad's friends. Okay, on the left was the principal at the Shoal School at that time. In the middle, I can't recall who that is or was. And then there is Gertrude Donaldson.
That looks like the former governor, Minor.
Oh,
The second guy.
yeah.
He was the governor of New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It says industrial management and a governor.
Oh, okay.
Another chorus, Shoal School chorus. Looks like they're performing at the old high school, which is now McGinnis School. Music study, talk topic to school unit. Left to right, William Kuhn, Herbert Richardson, Andrew Kuchak, and Alvin Mattis. All Dad's buds. Okay, now let's listen to Dad singing this song.
It Could Be a Wonderful World by Zaret and Singer expresses the idea of brotherhood and a concern for all people. It was written in 1947. If each little kid could have fresh milk each day, if each working man had enough time to play, if each homeless soul had a good place to stay, it could be a wonderful world. If we could consider each other a neighbor, a friend, or a brother, it could be a wonderful, wonderful world. It could be a wonderful world. If there were no poor and the rich were content, if strangers were welcome wherever they went, if each of us knew what true brotherhood meant, it could be a wonderful world. If we could consider each other a neighbor, a friend, or a brother, it could be a wonderful, wonderful world. It could be a wonderful world.
A voice that was a gift from God. Herbert Richardson, lyric tenor, concerts. And this is a ticket from the Altar Guild, the St. James AME Zion Church in Perth, Amboy. Will present Mr. Herbert Richardson, tenor in recital, Sunday, September the 16th, 1956. At St. James AME Zion Church, Commerce Street in Perth, Amboy. Donation $1 at 3 p.m. And here is some programs that he had done with such a varied repertoire. Some more programs. On the left, he did the 7 Last Words of Christ, benefit concert, some publicity photos, some more programs that I had found. And this is a program which Herb was a member of the choral group listed on the right. Also listed in the choral group are Gene Frazier, Noble Hannon, William Johnson, James Bailey, Noel Torres, James Young, James Galt, William Syphax, Robert Alexander, and Earl Allen. Gala concert, 1952. Oh, can barely see that, but that's another program. And this is his handwriting that I found in the house after his passing. The pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, and the optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. Vocalizers, community choir under the direction of Herbert Richardson. Here is our program from the vocalizers. Publicity photo, and on the right, digital reproduction of a cassette tape of the vocalizers, Herb Richardson's penmanship. Here's a newspaper clipping, vocalizers to entertain at a Brotherhood meeting. And here's a watch that was given to Dad from the vocalizers. The inscription reads, to Herbert Richardson from the vocalizers, 1956. Now we have labor education, Rutgers University. Dad was the director of recreation at the Labor Education Center during the summers at Rutgers University. And he always led sing-alongs of Union songs. He was an Alpha Phi Alpha man. The album, Herbert Richardson Sings of Labor, Hope, and Freedom, was recorded at Rutgers University. Herbert Richardson is a graduate of Virginia State College and Teachers College, Columbia University, where he majored in music. His experiences as a member of the American Federation of Teachers, AFL-CIO, as a school teacher, community activist, and singer contributed to his interest in labor and civil rights songs. As a recreation director at the Labor Education Center of Rutgers University Extension Division, his songs have been heard at scores of summer schools, conferences, and institutes conducted with a broad cross-section of unions in the region. The harmonies of the sing-along he has conducted have strengthened group ties and encouraged a sense of shared community among thousands of workers attending the Labor Education Center's programs. Revealing the shared fellowship, fun, and learning about labor history through the songs of workers, the graduates of these programs have asked whether a record could be purchased. The Rutgers Labor Alumni Association is pleased to be able to respond to these requests with this first album of songs by Herb Richardson. And here he is celebrating the release of the album. On the left is Austin Gums.
I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. If I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, all over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out a warning, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land.
Local
If I had a
Leadership
song,
Conference.
I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, all over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out a warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters all over this land. Well, I've got a hammer and I've got a bell and I've
Supervisor of the music department in Perth Amboy Public Schools. Dad became supervisor in 1968. New quarters. Herbert Richardson, head of the Department of Music in Perth Amboy School System, left. W. Grover Provine of the Science Department and Joseph Mara, head of the Mathematics Department, foreground, work at their desks in a new Board of Education and school administration offices in the old grammar school building on City's Barrack Street. Here, Perth Amboy's first African-American teacher with the first African-American conductor of a major symphony orchestra, the New Jersey Symphony Orchestra, at the William C. McGinnis School. Henry Lewis, born in 1932, passed in 1996. It was the Jersey Symphony in the 70s performing on the stage at the McGinnis School. And as supervisor, Dad managed to get that entire orchestra over here. Yeah. Okay, so let's listen to a song that Dad had written with Austin Gums.
So Big, So Wonderful is a song of hope and faith that I wrote with Austin Gums. When you know at the start of a new day, from your door to your work and all the way, that his love goes with you wherever you go, then the world is so big and wonderful. Used to be when I was a wee one. Every day was a day without the sun. But he came my way and wiped away the gray. Now my world is so big and wonderful. It's no matter the problem that fate does decree. With his love, it's no problem to me. So I wake with the sun in the morning, and I work with a smile all the day. For I know that he is watching over me, and my world is so big and wonderful.
Halloween, 1969. Okay, for everybody who remembers your Kodai rhythm reading. Ready, set, and here you go. Ta, 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 ti, ti, ta, 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 rest, ta, rest, ti, 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 ta, rest. Now, he was also into choral arranging. And this is way before Sibelius or Finale or computers. Here we have Precious Lord and Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen, dedicated to John V. Seaman and the Perth Amboy High School Chorus. Impeccable penmanship. Now, after his stint as supervisor of music education, he became the principal at number 10 school in 1981, where the school song is No Man is an Island.
John Donne's poem was the inspiration for No Man is an Island. This beautiful song is the theme song of the Rutgers University Labor Education Center. No man is an island, no man stands alone. Each man's joy is joy to me, each man's grief is my own. We need one another, so I will defend each man as my brother, each man as my friend. I saw the people gather, I heard heard the music start. The song that they were singing is ringing in my heart. No man is an island. No man stands alone. Each man's joy is joy to me. Each man's grief is my own. We need one another. So I will defend each man as my brother, each man as my friend.
School pictures. Dear Mr. Richardson, at the bequest of the faculty of the Department of Social and Philosophical Foundation of Education, I am pleased to inform you that you have passed satisfactorily the qualifying examination for the degree of Doctor of Education. Sincerely, Wayne K. Hoy, Associate Dean. And here is the cover of his dissertation. Black workers and their responses to work through the songs they sang. Doctoral dissertation, Rutgers Graduate School of Education. Copyright 1987 by Herbert N. Richardson, dedicated to Fanny. And here we have the title page and its table of contents. More school pictures. Number 10 School Recorder Club. Music is a sound investment. Doris Varela in the class on the left and Annie Varela with her class on the right. Couple of secretaries, Gertrude Donison on the left and Betty Miller on the right. With John B. Seaman and the Perth Amboy High School Chorus. And now, the city's first black teacher retires after 38 years. And I'm going to read just a bit of this article. Throughout his life, people have been telling Herb Richardson no. He ignored those in the Army who said the white and the black men could never fight together, just as he did in education, who said they could never learn together. For the first black teacher in Perth Amboy's school system who retired last week as principal of number 10 school, proving them wrong has been music to his ears. They called me the Jackie Robinson of the teaching profession, Richardson said yesterday as he started his first week of retirement after 38 years as an educator. After winning a music scholarship to Virginia State College, he enlisted in the Army, serving with an all-black unit in Blackstone, Virginia. The next day, they had us stand in formation, and his bus driver walked through the group like a general reviewing the troops and picked out the fellow he claimed beat him up, Richardson said. The guy had been on guard duty, so there was no way he could have done it. And when some men in his unit protested to the NAACP, they were transferred. It was an experience he would live again and again, particularly when the Perth Amboy native sought a teaching job in his hometown in 1949. Many people told me that a black person would never get a job in Perth Amboy, he said. And when he went for an interview with then the superintendent of schools, William C. McGinnis, Richardson thought his suspicions were justified. McGinnis said, "Herb, I'm sorry, but there are no jobs." And Richardson recalled, "I said to myself, that's the same old baloney." But a few days later, he received a telegram from McGinnis informing him that a music teacher had resigned and asked him to apply for the position. "I didn't know what to expect," he said, his voice shaking with emotion and his eyes filling with tears. "My folks worked very hard to send me to school, and I felt that here was an opportunity for them to see what they had worked for." He had to appear before the school board and submit to interviews by each one so they can find out what kind of person I was, he said. "To my knowledge, no one ever had to do that before." But he passed the interview with ease, and on June the 1st, 1949, Herb Richardson became the first black teacher in Perth Amboy, a fact that was reported in the newspapers before he knew about it himself, he noted with a grin. "He was just a heck of a nice guy, and I hate to see him retire," said School Superintendent Frank Sinatra, who taught with Richardson at the show school in the 1950s. "I never thought of him in terms of black and white. I just saw him as a nice guy who always wanted to help." And I find it interesting that when he was first hired, he was the first Negro teacher. And by the time he retired, he was the first black teacher. Perth Amboy High School Hall of Fame, March 23rd, 1990. Here's the program and his biography. Left to right, Dr. Howard S. Slobodian, class of 1939, medicine. J. Henry Zanzalari, EDD, class of 1941, vocational education. Herbert N. Richardson, EDD, class of 1937, education and music. Reverend Monsignor Joseph F. Chmielewski, class of 1929, religious service. Celebration of Life, Saturday, June the 26th, 2004, historic St. Peter's Episcopal Church. Announcement of the school being named in Dr. Herbert N. Richardson's honor from the Home News Tribune, Friday, October the 6th, 2006. At Dad's funeral, Austin Gumbs, who was then president of the Board of Ed, announced at the funeral that they were naming the school after Dad.
Joseph Edwards was Herb Richardson's stepfather. And to this day, I can remember him coming to my father and saying to my father, "Willie, my son wants to go to college. Can you help me?" And he held out his hand. And I don't know whether my father had $2 or $5, but he went from house to house, not just to West Indian houses, to American, African American who were born here, people who were living, who knew each other and took care of each other's children. And yes, he got a scholarship. And he went off to school. And I didn't hear anything about Herbie Richardson until one day, Mr. Edward Seaman at the grammar school, principal of the grammar school, called a quick assembly and introduced this man, a new graduate of Columbia University, Herbert Richardson. And I said, "I know him." 3 years later, he was named Perth Amboy's first African-American teacher. You have no idea, unless you were born and around in those times, you have no idea what that meant to us kids of color. We had never, and it's quoted today, and you'll hear from Winston in a second, we had never seen a black face in front of a room. Oh my goodness, I didn't see a man teacher until I got to grammar school. But that was the way things were. And here was this man whose headline read, "First Negro Teacher appointed in Perth Amboy." And yeah, Dr. McGinnis had him meet everybody because it was new. And 5 years later, when I graduated from college because of Herb Richardson, I was only the third black teacher in Perth, Amboy.
Now, here are some artifacts that are in the front hall display cases of the school. The plaque reads, "To Mr. Herbert Richardson, in grateful recognition of time, patience, and sacrifice, the S.E. Shoals School Upper Grade Chorus, May the 26, 1966. He always had his hat, has his clarinet, got his trumpet. Okay, there's this plaque from the Perth Amboy High School Hall of Fame. And a picture of Dad and the number 10 school. I just want to read a couple of former students' recollections of Herb Richardson. Okay, Daddy Gallo said, "I love your father. He taught me music in grade school. I went to high school playing trumpet and singing in the chorus. Years later, I became the road and promotion manager of a band and started headling in New York City. I got to meet all the recording CEOs of the recording companies. I met Clive Davis, the CEO of the nation's musical industry. I worked backstage with New Riders of the People, Sage, Pure Prairie League, all because of your father. God bless his soul, Danny, PAHS, class of 1971. I've heard your dad sing Amazing Grace, and that brought me to tears. A wonderful teacher and man, Sharon Pilzinski." Herb Richardson's most defining attribute to me was respect. I met him occasionally as an elementary school student at Samuel Lee Shoals School. The one thing that always struck me about him was that even though I was a kid, he always acted towards me and my peers with respect. For example, it was not, "I'm the adult, you're the kid," but that relation between persons, adults and children, incorporated respect due to persons. As I grew older, I, of course, saw this embodied in other people, but the first person that I really encountered it in, the adult-child relationship notwithstanding, was in limited but striking engagements with Mr. Richardson. No pictures, but fond memories of someone who influenced my thinking, my being, and my whole life. A great human being, Henry Arlequin. Always a gentleman, Mark Tarantino. I always had so much love and respect for your dad, my music teacher. Such a wonderful gentleman. Bless him, Joanna Mack. He was kind and thoughtful, always had a complimentary or encouraging word. I still have the congratulatory letter he wrote to me when I made Region Band in high school, Joanna Berman. Best music teacher I ever had. Shoals School, 7th and 8th grade. Gave me a love for harmonies. Also, years later, when I was a teacher's aide, I ran into him at number 10 school. He was a very nice and caring man. God bless and rest in peace, Mr. Richardson. Sharon Marcinkowski-Fensky. Mr. Richardson was our traveling music teacher back in the 60s at number 10 school. He would always bring his auto harp and play, and we always look forward to music class. Donna Pennyfeather Williams. Your dad was the kindest and most patient music teacher I had encountered in show school. He played piano for me while I sung a solo of My Wild Irish Rose for a St. Patrick's Day assembly that Mr. Nanton had organized. I remember when I rehearsed with him, I told him how I wanted to sing it, and he said, "Don't worry, I'll follow your lead." It was always a pleasure and comfort going to his class. Addis Valentine. Growing up in Perth, Amboy, I used to love it when he would visit our music class in school number 1. He used to sing with us and march with us in the classroom. Eva Herbert. Mr. Richardson, he was my kids' and a few of my nieces and nephews' principal at number 10 school. He was so sweet and such a gentleman. Irma Garcia. I can remember back in the 70s, he still had that thin mustache. He loved to sing along with us, and he also introduced us to the music of Paul Robeson. I can't remember if I first met him at Shull or PAHS. Ed Velez. Memories of Dr. Richardson will always remain near and dear to me. He and his wife's home was a place I visited frequently as a youth with my parents to play with his daughter, Joyce. All my life I'd heard wonderful, enlightening stories of Dr. Richardson's many accomplishments. My dad was known for saying that my grandmother used to tell him all the time as a means of proud incentive, "Mind you now, you be like hubby. Be like hubby." Dr. Richardson achieved many successes in areas that you didn't have opportunity to see many black men or women succeed at that time. He had a voice that would beautifully and gently share inspiring messages of justice, freedom, peace, determination, hard work, and perseverance. Dr. Richardson's many contributions in education, passion for music and education, pursuits in higher education, labor relations projects were only a few places he stood out, front and center. As first black teacher in Perth, Amboy, following his appointment as music supervisor, and in later years principal of school number 10, I had the wonderful opportunity to work under Dr. Richardson as a teacher. He truly was a soft-spoken gentleman and a scholar. Dr. Richardson was known to make frequent visits to our classrooms to leave words intended to motivate, sing a song, or tell the students how proud he was of them and what was expected. He had an encouraging and very respectful way of speaking with children, parents, and teachers. Working with Dr. Richardson was an honor and privilege. It was a very proud day for students, staff, and the Perth Amboy community when School 10 was renamed as the Dr. Herbert N. Richardson 21st Century School, also known as Richardson School. Dr. Richardson frequently sang, as many who knew him well remember, "No man is an island." So right, so true. Thank you, Dr. Herbert N. Richardson. Joyce, your dad was a blessing. Thank you and your family for sharing him with us. Jocelyn Alsop. And let's listen to one last song, Danny Boy.
Danny Boy is loved by audiences and singers all over the world. The melody comes from the Irish folk song, The Londonderry Air. These words by Weatherly can be interpreted as a song of love, conflict, and freedom. Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you must go and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the meadow, or when the valley's hushed and white with snow. I'll be here